What's up, everybody? It's Roger and Victoria here from DisKingdom.com with another episode of the DisKingdom podcast. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about the new Disney legends that are going to be inducted into their kind of like Hall of Fame at the D23 Expo at this year's event in LA, which Victoria is very, very lucky enough to who should be there for this event. So, going through just an idea of who's going to be in it. They're going to be inducting the following people. So we're going to just go through this first and then talk about each person. So we're going to introduce Carrie Fisher, obviously known as Princess Leia in Star Wars. Clyde Jeremiah. I can't even try and pronounce that on there right. Who joined the Disney studio in 1931, working first as an animator for several memorable Mickey Mouse, Silly Symphony, and Pluto's, and also worked as a supervising director for the 1959 masterpiece Sleeping Beauty. Manuel Gonzalez, he was also added, so he was also one of the artists who was brought in back in like the 1930s. He worked on the Mickey Mouse cartoon strip and also worked as bringing it on the newspapers for 40 years. Mark Hamill from Star Wars. We've also got Wayne Jackson, who is an Imagineer from 1965 and helped build some of the attractions. Stan Lee, obviously, from who was behind many of the superheroes from Marvel, including Iron Man, Spider-Man, Hulk, Thor, the X-Men, Daredevil, Falcon, and he also was kind of introducing them and co-created them with other people. Gary Marshall, who is he wrote and produced many of the big hits for the ABC, including The Odd Couple, Happy Days, and Mork and Mindy, so Nanu Nanu. And Julia Tamura, who was a award-winning filmmaker who helped with the adaptation of The Lion King, I think on Broadway. And then finally Oprah Winfrey, who we all know. So a very, very kind of good lineup there. Definitely some big headliners there in that collection. What did you think of that lineup?
Well, I broke down in tears when I heard Carrie Fisher because she was one of my favorites, also with her mother, Debbie. Oprah, I wasn't surprised at all about Oprah. It was a matter of why are they just doing this? A lot of the Imagineers and artists, I'm also was like, well, about time because they've done a ton for the community, and Stan Lee, I'm just like, oh my gosh, Stan Lee.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm sort of reading for that. Obviously, there's a few ones, a couple of there that I'm not too aware of, because I mean, while I read like Disney history books and stuff, trying to remember some of the names, it's one of those things. Certain names stand out more than others, so I do like the fact that these lesser known sort of people are inducted in there. But obviously, there are some big names: Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill. I'm glad they're doing the two of them, because I feel like obviously Carrie Fisher with her death is right time to do it, but I do think adding Mark Hamill at the same time is a good thing, because obviously they both broke in at the same time and obviously it all being owned by Disney now. Star Wars is their thing anyway now.
Yeah, I think the timing with that was basically perfect, and I feel like there'll be maybe a special tribute for Carrie and Mark as well. I feel like that's definitely going to happen at the awards ceremony.
Yeah, I definitely think it's cool, and obviously as well with Star Wars Episode 8 out this year with them both in, it's cool. It's extra publicity and stuff for the movie, but generally, I think, you know, I could have even said, even if Carrie Fisher hadn't died, this wouldn't have surprised me if this had been announced, because both of them are two epic characters, and obviously deserving of being now Disney legends because it's owned by Star Wars. Obviously, like I say, Mark Hamill there. Stan Lee. For me, this is like, you know, as a Marvel fan, this is great. They brought Marvel, they own all the characters. It's like he created and co-created so many of the massive Disney characters now. Yeah, he should be in there, as simple as that.
Yeah, I've actually seen a few people on Twitter a little confused about why he was there, and I'm like, he's Stan Lee. He doesn't really have to have a reason.
He's not just for cameos. He did actually do stuff.
Right. Like, he actually, you know that superhero you like? He basically made that. So
I think there's still that kind of thing with some Disney fans about like anything Marvel or Star Wars or anything that's kind of been brought in like that it doesn't quite get, you know, they go, oh, it shouldn't, you know. But for me, Stan Lee, you know, Disney owned those characters. He created them or co-created some of them as well. You know, he is a massive part of Marvel, and that's part of Disney now, and it will always be in the same way that George Lucas was and Star Wars. So for me, Stan Lee being in there, I'll be honest, for me that was probably the biggest top name of the host of the Legends that I instantly went, yes, that's good that he's in there.
No, I agree. I was actually a little bummed about it not seeing Stan Lee. Well, let me backtrack. So there's a convention that in DC every summer, and Stan Lee was actually headlining in June, and I couldn't go because I'm moving. But then once they announced him at D23, I'm like, oh, yay!
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, luckily enough, I got to see Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill at last year's Star Wars Celebration. Saw Mark Hamill on the big stage. Amazing thing. Obviously, Star Wars Celebration coming up this week, so we'll be talking about that a bit more next week. But yeah, so he's pretty cool. As I said, we had a few other names there, which I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about them. I love the fact that we got the guy that was wrote The Happy Days of Mork and Mindy, 2 TV shows, Gary Marshall. Those 2 TV shows were epic for me growing up. They were always on Channel 4, always being played. Literally only the other day I said to my sister-in-law, Nanu Nanu. So it's literally Mork and Mindy and Happy Days and stuff. You know, great to see that in there as well.
It's funny because I actually know him from Hocus Pocus, Princess Diaries, and the Lucy Show.
Yeah, it's just like I say, it's different things. I mean, he worked with the Princess Diaries and stuff, and also Pretty Woman.
That's right.
Yes. Now, obviously, Oprah Winfrey, major star. You know, she's done lots with obviously the show. She's also been in some of the movies. She's in the upcoming Disney's A Wrinkle of Time, which is coming out next year. She was also in Princess and the Frog. She's obviously been in lots of TV shows and stuff. You know, again, great choice, and putting her in there as well.
Yeah. Also rounds out that little bit of diversity as well, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's that kind of thing as well of it depends on the ages of who's putting it in and who going through. But yeah, as you said, and even to be honest, to me, putting Oprah in there, you know, the stuff that she's done, and not just for Disney but for other things, you know, she is a massive name in her own right. And just the idea that you've got Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and then you've got Stan Lee and Oprah Winfrey, that is a major Hall of Fame. So I do always say Hall of Fame because I'm used to the WWE, but
I noticed that.
And it's been WrestleMania week, so I've been watching it all week. So I only watched their Hall of Fame last week. So this award ceremony will be taking place at 10 a.m. on Friday, the July 14th, at the Hall D23 at the Anaheim Convention Center, and will be hosted by Bob Iger. So that's pretty cool. It's quite early, so I'm hoping that they'll, you know, that now with the D23, they'll start sort of broadcasting more, YouTubing and streaming stuff now, so we can see, because it's, you know, so much more easier to do and stuff nowadays. And so for those of us like myself that can't make it out to LA can sort of see this footage, whereas obviously you're going to be there, which is going to be a little bit different for you.
Yeah, I was going to actually try and live stream a few panels. That was going to be one of them, but I'm waiting to see if they're going to announce any broadcasts, like if it's even necessary for me to do it. But I feel like they're just going to like record it and then post it later. But I'm going to wait and see.
Yeah, I did actually watch on the last D23 Expo. I was watching Periscope from the guys over at DITV, and they were doing like the video game thing, and they were broadcasting that because we were expecting lots of video game news. So I am kind of hoping that there's going to be a little bit more video game presentation and some announcements and stuff. But I'm sure we're going to be talking about the D23 Expo a little bit closer to the event. But anything else you want to add about the Disney Legends for the 30th anniversary?
Not that I can think of offhand. It's going to be very exciting to see in person, though.
Definitely. Very, very jealous. Right, on that note, guys, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let us know what your thoughts on all of these here. You can also find us on all the different social medias, so definitely want to keep track over there. And you can also find us on YouTube. You can also listen to the audio versions on different platforms, such as iTunes and Stitcher, etc. Victoria, where can they find you on the interweb?
They can find me on Twitter at HeCallsMePP and Instagram, He Calls Me Pineapple Princess.
Okay, cool. On that note, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you guys in a later episode. Laters.
Bye, guys.